It's midnight. A long freight train snakes through the darkness, its metal wheels screeching as it pulls into a quiet Indian railway yard. On the side of one of the shipping containers, painted in bold red, "Made in China." India says it's cutting ties with China, banning apps, blocking tech deals, promoting self-reliance. But just last month, something strange happened. Leaked government documents showed that India placed $200 million worth of secret railway orders from China. Yes, you heard that right. On the surface, it looks like a patriotic economic stand. But behind the scenes, there's a quiet dependency. Trains built with Chinese parts still roll across Indian tracks, and few people are talking about it. So what's going on? What exactly is in these secret shipments? Why is India quietly ordering parts from the same country it publicly opposes? And more importantly, what could go wrong? Because this isn't just about steel and wheels, it's about control. And as we'll soon uncover, what's buried in these orders could shift the balance of power, not just between India and China, but across the global infrastructure map. To understand why this matters, we need to rewind to 2020. That year, tensions between India and China exploded after a deadly clash on the Himalayan border. In response, India launched an economic strike. It banned over 200 Chinese apps, including TikTok. It blocked Huawei and ZTE from India's 5G rollout. It even raised import duties on Chinese solar panels. The message was clear: Atmanirbhar Bharat, or self-reliant India, was the new mission. Buy Indian, build Indian, break away from Chinese influence. But here's the twist. While smartphones and TikTok got the headlines, something critical was quietly left out: infrastructure. Even as India talked tough, it kept importing key parts for its railways. We're talking rails, signaling systems, and locomotive components. These aren't optional add-ons. They're the backbone of India's railway modernization. According to data from the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, 92% of India's rail electrification relies on Chinese manufactured components. 92%. That's not just a contradiction. That's a strategic blind spot, because if India gets locked into this dependence, it could find itself in a dangerous position, building the future of its railways with parts it doesn't fully control. And in a world where supply chains are weapons, that's a risk too big to ignore. Now let's talk about the leak. A recent report from The Hindu sent shockwaves through policy circles. It revealed procurement lists, real documents, showing that India isn't just importing general components from China. It's still secretly buying 3 highly sensitive categories of railway equipment. Let's break them down. First, axle bearings. These are no ordinary parts. Axle bearings are the fail-safe mechanism that keeps high-speed trains stable. If one fails, it can cause a derailment. And yet India still buys most of these from China. Why? Because China makes them cheaper and faster than any other country. Second, train control software. Now this is where things get risky. This software is like the brain of a train. It monitors speed, signaling, emergency braking. The concern? Experts warn these systems could have backdoor vulnerabilities, meaning they might be remotely accessible or even tampered with. Third, specialized alloys. These are used to make ultra-durable rails and high-performance engine parts. And most of them? They come from factories in China's Xinjiang region, a politically sensitive area with heavy government control. Put these 3 together and here's the picture. If China ever decides to pull the plug, intentionally or due to rising tensions, over 60% of India's freight trains could be grounded within weeks. That's not speculation. That's based on India's current rate of usage and stockpiling capacity. This isn't just trade, it's a trap. This situation isn't unique, and it's not new. Back in 2010, China gave the world a preview of how it could weaponize its supply chains. During a territorial dispute with Japan over a few rocky islands, China suddenly cut off exports of rare earth metals, critical elements used in everything from smartphones to missile systems. The result? Japan's high-tech industries were thrown into chaos. Prices surged overnight, and Beijing made its point loud and clear: depend on us, and we control the game. Fast forward to today, and analysts warn that India could face the same pressure, but on tracks instead of tech. A trade expert at Brookings summed it up perfectly. China weaponizes supply chains. A single delayed bearing shipment could paralyze India's Delhi-Mumbai Corridor. Think about that. The Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor is one of India's busiest and most critical trade routes. If that stops, you're not just delaying trains, you're choking the economy. Picture a giant train map of India. Now overlay a ticking clock. Second represents a shipment that might not arrive. A single missed delivery could mean idle trains, lost revenue, and delayed goods across the country. This is what modern economic warfare looks like. Not bombs, not tanks, but bolts, bearings, and software. So if this risk is so clear, why doesn't India just stop buying from China? The truth is, it's not that simple. There are three big reasons why India keeps the orders flowing, even while publicly opposing Beijing. Reason 1. India's factories can't keep up. Right now, only 18% of critical railway components are made in India. That's according to internal reports from the Ministry of Railways. The rest? Still heavily dependent on Chinese suppliers. Local manufacturers just don't have the scale, technology, or speed yet to fill the gap. Reason 2. Price. Chinese parts are on average 40% cheaper than Indian-made alternatives. Indian Railways' own budget documents show that choosing local often means spending nearly twice as much for the same part. In a country trying to modernize thousands of kilometers of track, every rupee matters. Reason 3. Public image. Here's the real kicker. To avoid political backlash, officials quietly reclassify these purchases as non-strategic. That way, they don't have to announce them publicly, or even admit they're from China. It's like ordering takeout from a banned restaurant, then changing the label on the bag. The result? A growing disconnect between what India says and what India does, and that gap could cost the country dearly if things go south with Beijing. This isn't just paperwork and politics, it has real effects on the ground. Take the 2022 Vande Bharat Express delay. It was supposed to be India's pride, an ultra-modern, locally built high-speed train. But the project was delayed by 6 months. Why? Because a shipment of Chinese-made parts didn't arrive on time. Train wheels, braking components, software, critical things that India couldn't produce fast enough on its own. The result? Schedules stalled, costs ballooned, and the Make in India promise took a hit. But it doesn't stop there. According to a World Bank estimate, India spends about $350 million every month just on emergency air freight to rush in replacement parts when shipments from China are late or disrupted. It's like patching a leaking boat with duct tape. Expensive, temporary, and risky. An Indian Railways union leader put it bluntly. We're funding our own sabotage. By continuing to rely on China, India isn't just spending more money. It's building an infrastructure system that can collapse from the inside out. All it takes is one supplier pulling the plug. So what can India do to break free? There's no quick fix, but there are 3 real options on the table. Each comes with trade-offs, but they all point to the same goal: independence. Option 1. Partner with allies. India is already exploring deals with Japan and Germany, countries known for precision engineering. These partnerships would bring secure, high-quality components. The catch? They're 30 to 50% more expensive than Chinese parts. That means India would need to raise budgets or pass on costs to the public. Option 2, build at home, fast. This is where the Make in India campaign comes in. One success story is the Chennai wheel plant, which now supplies high-grade train wheels that were once only bought from China. But to scale this across all parts, software, metals, electronics, it would take massive government subsidies and private investment. Option 3, stockpile critical parts. Like how the US keeps a strategic oil reserve, India could stockpile rail components, bearings, alloys, control chips, anything that might get cut off. It's not glamorous, but it buys time during future crises. Still, all of these solutions face one big obstacle: bureaucracy. India's current tender process for railway parts can take up to 2 years. Compared to China's 3-month delivery cycle, that's a huge lag in a supply chain war, and it's something India will need to reform if it wants to compete. Because in this race, speed is strategy. This isn't just India's story, it's a global one. From Europe's wind turbines to America's shipping ports, China's grip on critical supply chains runs deep. Whether it's train parts, solar panels, or rare minerals, more and more countries are waking up to the same uncomfortable truth. You may build the system, but China controls the gears. India's secret railway orders are a warning shot. They show how even the loudest calls for self-reliance can be undermined by quiet dependence. And in a world of rising tensions and trade wars, that dependence can be turned into a weapon overnight. So here's the real question. Should India and the world go all in on self-reliance, even if it means higher taxes, delays, and short-term pain? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash like if you want us to do a deep dive on China's Africa port deals. Yes, it's the same playbook. And remember the final image? A lone Indian engineer in a dusty workshop inspecting a worn-out train part with a magnifying glass. The screen fades to black with the question, who really controls the tracks? Thanks for watching.